Well, I saw it on Facebook as a report from CNN, actual camera footage of people walking down the street, driving down the street, jogging down the street through nice neighborhoods, and suddenly becoming criminals because they could not handle the idea that somebody might have a different viewpoint than they themselves do. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle here with Steve Green and Scott Ott, and this is your right angle for Donald Trump lawn signs, of all things, apparently the most priceless objects in the universe. Worth their weight in diamonds because they're being taken everywhere. Guys, this CNN story was actually a little, well, it was disturbing in a number of ways, which we'll talk about in a second. But one of them was, here's some bipartisan tips on how to not get your lawn signs stolen. However, as you can see from these videos, people aren't walking into Hillary Clinton's yards and pulling Hillary Clinton yard signs away. It's exclusively Trump, and it's exclusively leftists, and it's exclusively progressives who think that this kind of behavior is noble and good, when actually it's trespassing and it's theft. And it's worse than that. It's denying your fellow citizen the right to express themselves. So one guy apparently had a sign that was 15, 20 feet tall. Somebody burned it down. He built it again the next day. So people are kind of fighting back. But anyway, guys, I think this is a big issue because it's much bigger than lawn signs. Scotty, we talked on our conference call yesterday. You said there's nothing more useless in politics than a lawn sign. It's basically just hey, this is what I think. It doesn't change any minds. But what do you think it is, Scott, that allows people who are normally law-abiding citizens think it's okay for them to get out in the middle of the afternoon or to come back at 3 o'clock in the morning, walk out of the car, get on somebody's lawn, take a Trump sign away, and then feel like they did something good?
Well, it's the basic approach of the left to ideas in general and to speech that they don't favor.
That's
which
right.
is, as I think Glenn Reynolds often says over at Instapundit, shut up, he explained. And that is really their whole approach is, I don't like what you're saying. I'm not going to refute it. I'm not going to compete against it. I'm not going to try to promote my ideas contra yours. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that even your name doesn't get out there. Even somebody driving by at 60 miles an hour will not see the 5 letters of your name, and it's a kind of a pathology. I mean, there's something wrong with people who not only think this way and think, hey, I'm going to stop this guy from becoming elected president by stealing his yard sign. But I think that, anybody who in general conducts their political life like that is setting themselves up for failure over and over because the signal will get out. I mean, you can't stop it. And it's not through yard signs. When I ran for office the first time, they were saying, oh, well, we got to spend this huge amount of money on yard signs and stuff like that. And I was like, really? Have you ever known of anybody who voted for somebody because of a yard sign? I mean, if anything, the purpose yard signs serve 2 purposes. Number one, it makes people who say they really care, it gives people who say they really care about this country something to do in the election that makes them feel like they're actually doing something, when in fact they're doing virtually nothing. They're allowing 2 small holes to perforate their lawn. These 2 little pieces of wire. And then the other thing is it gives you something to talk about in the weeks before the election so you can go, hey, there's a lot of them Steve Green signs out. I didn't realize he was doing so well. And so,
there are no Steve Green signs, I assure you.
As far as how to address this, I mean, obviously, cameras outside your house that can monitor it. There are apps that can alert you on your iPhone when there's motion in front of, near your sign or whatever. There are, I don't know if you guys know about this, but some landmines actually work when you release pressure from them rather than when you apply pressure. I'm sorry, that was a little too much.
A little too far.
Yeah. Scotty, I'm just ask you a quick follow-up here before I talk to Steve about maybe the larger issue here. I'd love to, the left would love to tell you it's because of Trump and everything that Trump says is so hateful. Yeah. We saw this exact same thing with Romney. The left would get out and steal Romney signs and break down Romney signs and destroy them, mark them up, burn them, whatever. And there just simply was no reciprocity. It just wasn't happening the other way. So, Scotty, just real quick as a follow-up, what it really comes down to is, you mentioned it in the beginning. It's like I'm not
Yeah.
la 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 la. It's different of a viewpoint of mine. But how do you think these progressives would feel if they were bombarded with repulsive and differing viewpoints to the degree that we are daily bombarded with Hillary Clinton's emails and Barack Obama's, golfing during crises and being called racist every day? Their heads would explode.
Well, and in fairness, not really fairness to them, but to sort of give it from their perspective, I think they do feel that way. I think they feel like they're being bombarded by Donald Trump's racism and by Republican bigotry and by, all this kind of stuff from their perspective. Now, of course, they're wrong and we're right, but still, I do think that the people who would do this kind of an act, let me make allowance for one other possible category of human being. Half the people who are doing this are probably thinking, I'm helping the country by destroying this name.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't rule out the fact, though, that there are just some hooligans out there who say, hey, man, we could hang a Trump poster on our, fraternity dorm room wall.
Yeah, well, that happens too.
I think you'd find more fraternity guys are supporting Donald Trump than they are Hillary
Well, that
Clinton,
could
to
be
be honest
too.
with you. Steve, let me ask you about a larger issue, because the sight of these people simply brazenly walking up and stealing these signs as a sign of their virtue, right, as an indication of their virtue, I think there's a much larger case to be made here, Steve. I think the media does exactly the same thing. I think the national news media does exactly the same thing. It leaves all of the Hillary signs up, all the pro-Hillary signs are left up, but anytime it sees something that's positive for Donald Trump, it simply goes out there and destroys it.
Well, look, I may disagree with your taking the sign off of my lawn, but I will defend to the death your right to get shot for trespassing. In this case, maybe literally. No, I don't encourage that for what amounts to, in the end, really a prank, although not a harmless prank. But there is a mindset. Look, you know what? We on the right, we have a view of the law. And I think this is a proper view of the law, we see the law at its best is supposed to be majestic, because the law is there to defend the rights of man, to uplift the individual, to give him the avenues to pursue his own dreams, to earn his own bread, to earn his own keep, to protect his own family in a way that encourages and creates human individual dignity. That is what we see as the law's proper role, and that is an amazing thing. Now, on the other side, to them, and in their own heads, they couch this differently. It's about uplifting the poor. It's about protecting the weak. It's about allowing minorities to express themselves freely, that sort of thing. But what it really comes down to is they see the law as power. It's a way of punishing those you disagree with. It is a way of taking from those you disagree with and giving to those who provide you with power. This is what the law is to them. It's not an uplifting thing. It is an inherently degrading thing. It doesn't open avenues for human individuality. It closes them. It channels people's dreams and pursuits into narrower and narrower avenues instead of expanding them. And as such, Billy, you called these people, what is it that encourages them to be lawbreakers in your first question to Scott? It's not that they're lawbreakers, it's that they see the law in a much different way, and that by shutting somebody up with a stupid prank, what they're actually doing is pursuing this the supposedly noble goals of theirs.
Yeah, Bill,
That's right.
What they're saying is, I broke the law by tearing down that yard sign, and that's illegal now.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, Steve. It's like, for us, the law is the law. We may not agree with it. If we disagree with it, we think we need to change the law. We have to respect laws that we may not like, because that's what law is. It's patterns and rules of behavior for everybody, determined by everybody. You're right. The left sees the law as a ratchet. If the law is in their favor, then by God, we must all obey the law. But if the law is something they don't like, then for God's sakes, let's just go and do what we have to do. And better to ask forgiveness than permission, right? So that's why they continue to have votes and votes and votes. And then when they finally get the vote the way they want it, then the voting stops.
Lock it down.
That's
right.
what we saw in Florida with the recount in 2000. We're going to recount and recount and recount and recount and recount and recount. And every time George Bush wins, we're going to have another recount until finally Al Gore wins a recount, at which point the process will complete. And then we'll get to the actual truth. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So the Supreme Court didn't elect George Bush. The Supreme Court said, you guys don't get to recount until you get the number you want. Folks, this is not just petty theft, and it's not just trespassing. Those are minor crimes. And as Steve said, he's not usually wrong, but it's not a prank either. A prank is something you do to play fun on people, or to throw toilet paper over their house, or maybe it's a little bit of minor revenge and doing donuts in their yard. Those are pranks. This is trespassing, and it's petty theft, but that's not what this is about. This is about the theft of democracy. This is about the idea that I am going to enable you to think about what things you can and can't do. If I don't like it, I'm going to take it away from you. It's the theft of your opinion. It's the theft of your vote. It's the theft of your individuality. It's the theft of your citizenship. It's the theft of your person is what they're doing. The idea that somebody would disagree with them is so intolerable to these minimally minded moral midgets that it's not bad, that they simply do not even, it never enters their head that what they're doing is illegal, immoral, undemocratic, and fascistic. So interesting that these people who talk about Donald Trump being a fascist are the ones that saying, we can't let him speak, he's a fascist. They just don't get it. They don't get it, and they never ever will. So, lock down your yard signs, ladies and gentlemen, and don't forget that when you watch the news, you're seeing lots and lots and lots of lawn signs that aren't there. For everybody here at BillWhittle.com, Steve Green, Scott Ott, and the rest of the crew, would like to thank you for watching. And let's especially like to thank our paying members that keep these programs coming. And if you'd like to be a part of keeping this message out there, we'd love to have you. Just go to BillWhittle.com and become a member. Until next time, I'm Bill Whittle for Right Angle. Keep an eye on your property.